So here are some important variables that you will definitely use in your problems. So let's go ahead and figure out the difference between all these variables. Now, before I start explaining an, I actually want to introduce three different a's. There is a, an, and a capital N. So what is a? A is over here, and A is basically end of period payment in a uniform series that continues for n periods. Blah, what is that? What does that mean? So basically what it means is that end of period payment. So let's pick a period in this example that we have here, right? So in this example we pick period 1, and it says end of period payment in a uniform series. So this is a uniform series that continues for n periods. So what is n? N is the number of interest periods. So in this example we have 4 interest periods, or let me just draw another one. This is 5 year, or year 5, and we have year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 5 periods, and the first period, and let's say we had $10 here, $10. We were paying for a subscription on a website, Netflix, let's say, and our receipt is $10. So this is basically what A is. A would be the $10 over the n period, right? That continues for n periods. In this case, n is the number of interest periods, so n is equal to 5 and A is equal to $10. Now an, small letter n, is basically any interest period. So A3, so in the third interest period, what is it? It's $10. Now you'll see later on through other examples the main difference between a small letter n and just normal a, but the difference between normal a and small letter n a, right, or the difference between this one and this one and this one, is simply that a is your receipt in general, and this receipt can change. This $10 over here, all of these can change if your period number changes. So if you start off with $100, or you start off with $0, and you need to pay a car company $5,000, so if you start with $0 and you have to pay Netflix $10 a month, or $10 a year, if you start with 0 and you have to pay Netflix $10 a year, what happens is that at the end of 5 years you have to pay them now you start with $0, let's say, for example, and you need to pay at the end of 5 years $50, or you owe somebody $50 and you want to pay them by 5 years. Now your n is equal to 5 and your a is equal to $10. However, if you shorten this, if you shorten the total number of interest periods, so you get 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you get 4 years, so now if your new n is equal to 4, then what happens is that this value becomes 1250, right? 1250 per period. So there is a big difference between AN, and A capital N. I hope you see some of the differences. If not, we'll do examples and you'll understand it then. Some of the other variables that are very important. So we covered A and N. We also know what interest rate is. It's pretty obvious. So what is the interest rate at a given period, right? In a given interest period. P, this is pretty important. P is basically your present value. P is your present value. So what does that mean? What is the initial amount that you have in 0th year? So when N equals to 0, what is your amount? What is the amount of cash you have? What is your present value? Right? When N equals to 0, what is your present value? So that's what P is. Next, we have future value, which is denoted by F. And future value is basically what is the total amount of money, total cash at the end of an analysis period. That's what future value is. So at the end of your 4-year period or 5-year period, what is the future value? What is the future value? Only at the end of the analysis period. What about if you want to know what the future value is before the end of an analysis period? So before the end of this period, the third period, at the end of the third period, what is your future value? That is denoted by Vn, where n is your period number, interest period number, and Vn is basically the amount, the future value, you can say, the future value of this period. So sum of cash at the end of n period. And remember, V0 is equal to the present value, and V capital N, which is your total number of periods, is equal to the future value.